Perfect. Right. Cloud Foundry Foundation Technical Oversight Committee for 29th of November 2022. Took me a moment to remember the month. Actions from last week. Well, the agenda, actions from last week. Hearing from vulnerability management working group. That's the real title. We've got 3 PRs that looked relevant to me. If there's any others you want to look at, stick them in while we're doing other stuff. Right. Actions from last week. That's all long-term stuff. So I've not put it in and we'll just sort of skip over it. In which case, unless anybody wants to talk about those actions. Nope, faces are blank, cool. In that case, the floor is yours, Paul.
Yeah, morning, everyone. Evening, everyone. Thanks. Let me just get situated here. Find the right tab. There we go. All right. Hopefully you can see slide share and not my screen. Okay, great. Right. Yeah, update from the vulnerability working group on November the 29th. It's my standard presentation. We'll go through it. Just a reminder, these are the members on the working group at the moment. We kind of like, because of the nature of managing vulnerabilities, we kind of like lurk about in the shadows a little bit. But there's several people on the team, so just a reminder, these are them, myself, Monty, and Sibi from VMware. Sibi is temporarily on the team in place of Khushbu, who's on maternity leave. Monty's based in California, like myself. Sibi and Khushbu are based in Bangalore, I believe. And then we have Mateus from SAP and Pratik from Fidelity. And collectively as a group, we try and manage the vulnerabilities that come in. So what exactly does that mean? We provide a single point of contact for security vulnerability reporting and management. And we provide management of the process right from when a security vulnerability report is made through to some sort of resolution, whatever that might be. So that's the main part that people would think we do. We also manage the USNs, Ubuntu security notices. So Ubuntu publishes Ubuntu security notices, and using a tool called Davos, which I'll come back to in a minute, we track those USNs that get published and the CVEs that they're in through into stemcells, and then we make our own publications on the hashtag security channel, letting people know that this version of stemcell has these, Ubuntu CVEs fixes in it, so on and so forth. And then probably this item should move up because it's closely related to this one. When we do have security vulnerabilities that are confirmed and fixed by the team, then we do a certain amount of pre-disclosure and disclosure information dissemination out to the registered, the people that are registered for those. So in a little bit more detail, what does that mean? It means this. This is an overview of the process that we use to manage all vulnerabilities that come in. Essentially, we manage the security at cloudfoundry.org inbox. When anyone has a potential vulnerability, they post to that inbox, and we'll take that vulnerability through this process through to a resolution. So what are the sorts of things we actually see? So as you can imagine, we manage the inbox, so we get all sorts of stuff in the inbox. So, we get general spam into that inbox, and we get eager hackers into that inbox saying, hey, I found this thing here. 9 times out of 10, they found some test fixture in the code that's got some, keys in it or something like that, which are not active or made up. And they think, woohoo, I found some issue, and really it's just some test fixture, right? So we have to manage that, that day-to-day stuff. We also, out of that, though, obviously there are a number of real issues, like log4j shell and stuff like that. We have 3 issues we are managing at the moment. across the CFD and its various components. We also, at the moment, we get a lot, and this is kind of like an increasing trend, I would say, we get a lot of users of the code base kind of scanning it in one way, shape, or form. So they scan the source code, it's open source, they can got the source code, they can scan the source code because they're running Cloud Foundry. And their scanner will throw up CVEs constantly, pretty much, and they will report those to security@cloudfoundry.org, and those ones are very difficult to counter, actually, because as a foundation we have we don't have a standard tool or process that we use as part of our software delivery lifecycle. So these ones we try and manage as diplomatically as we can, because we have no idea how they tune those scanners or anything like that. So we kind of have to respond with a thanks for the report, but we generally speaking, we don't comment on these. Whilst Cloud Foundry doesn't do scanning itself, a number of downstream distributions do, and we haven't heard of any of these CVs from them. If you have a vulnerability, a reproducible vulnerability, then please feel free to post that, and we'll look into it immediately. That's the kind of response that we usually give. A while ago, I did a couple of weeks ago around KubeCon time, I did pull up some statistics for what we were seeing, which I have got somewhere if interested. But these are the kind of things we're seeing, like out-of-date dependencies is a big one. And then, like the scans we get from SonarQube, HCL app scan on cloud, those kind of things. So we get one of those, and we've had one of those so far this week, just to give you an idea of those that come in. And then now we could manage those, and in the past we have, but the problem is they suck an awful lot of time from the component teams. But as you know, CVEs are, it takes a lot of skill and time to triage a CVE in reality. And of course, these scans often have like hundreds of these things in, all the way from whatever, like critical down to low. And so that's why we tend to kind of try and diplomatically deal with them. Of course, if there are highs in there, then we usually do scan those reports just for your information. And if there are like criticals in there and highs in there, then perhaps we might think about taking it further. But usually, like I said, usually that's the response. So anyway, that's enough about that one. And then sometimes in the past, anything can get reported to security@cloudfoundry.org. And in the past, we've even had reports of vulnerabilities in the Cloud Foundry website itself, and so those ones are quite interesting because we took those on and dealt with them as well. And the website is managed by an outside contractor, so we had to kind of liaise with them through Chris to get those fixed. So those are the sorts of things we're seeing. Key takeaways there is, we have 3 ongoing issues at the moment, which is kind of a tick up. We were quiet for a while, so that's kind of starting to tick up again. And as always, we get these scans coming in. And then that's pretty much it. But lastly, a note on Davos. I do think it's generally worth for the TOC to be aware of this. We kind of rely quite heavily on a proprietary tool, proprietary within VMware, called Davos. This is a tool we use to manage the 2 things really. It's like it holds a block of CVEs. So we go to MITRE, I think it is, go to MITRE, and we get assigned a block of CVEs for use with Cloud Foundry, and they get kind of loaded into Davos. And then every time we need one, we kind of take one out of that block or reserve it for the upcoming CVE. So we've just done that for one of the ones we're currently managing. So that's the first thing it does. Second thing it does is it's the clever tool, and it really is quite clever, and it manages the Ubuntu security. So it's the thing that watches those, and then kind of watches the version of the operating system that's going into the stem cells and kind of matches those two things up, and gives us the set of fixes that the list of fixes that we then publish on the hashtag security channel. It has to undergo, like it's a homegrown thing. It's very clever what it does. I think Cloud Foundry gets a lot of benefit out of it, but it does have to be manually updated. Like we have to have an engineer go in and update this thing when there's a new release of Ubuntu. So for example, at the moment we're a little bit behind on the Jammy, which is why we're not currently issuing updates for that, because there's been a little bit of flux internally with the management of that thing. So the target for that is any day now. It may even be, we obviously missed last Thursday's, we missed last Thursday's meeting because of Thanksgiving, so I didn't have a chance to check in on that one, but this coming Thursday, hopefully we'll hear that those updates have been made, and we'll start publishing the Jammy security notices as well. But that's it. That's the roundup. Happy to answer any questions if anyone has any.
Yeah, I have a question. So the LFX has a security dashboard. I posted a link in the Zoom chat. It's currently not as useful, but would that be like of interest to the security working group? Like if we would like start triaging things there more or something, so that we have like a public place where we can point people to like about the scanning we're doing.
Yeah, this is part of the Linux Foundation.
Yeah, it's currently not like set up properly, so we ideally should have like the working groups, the repos defined in the working groups lead into this, or so that it's grouped properly. That's all currently not done.
Yeah, I do hope to have that done well this year, but right now you can look at the all Foundry Foundation repositories kind of collectively, but we should have it separated by working groups soon.
Where's it gathering its statistics from?
It uses Sneak and I think just GitHub scans.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, yeah, sure. I mean, tools like this are often very useful. It would be interesting to see what it's showing up at the moment. Like, I kind of wonder where the 92.1 thousand unique vulnerabilities are coming from. So yeah, I mean, it'd be interesting to tune this thing and have a look at it a little.
We did have, I mean, they presented to us at the beginning of this year to the TOC, just when it was kind of first rolling out. But we could have them come and the LFX team come and kind of represent this and fine tune this. Like I said, I will have this separated by working groups and just separate projects, which I think might be more helpful in some contexts, but of course for your working group, the overall instance of this helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Yeah, I mean, this is the sort of thing that I was talking about earlier. Like we if we can drill down through this to actually see the CVEs and stuff like that, that would be very helpful in potentially in when we get those scans, scan reports in from the users, we can kind of point at this dashboard and say this is the thing that we pay attention to. Why I say I think it would be interesting to see it tuned is because it's possible that this will generate a lot of work for the component teams very quickly.
Right.
Yeah. So we'd need some way of dealing with that. We probably have to do something like deal with criticals first and then highs next, and then say, well, we're not too concerned about mediums and things like that, because 92,000 issues is vulnerabilities is like, I don't know if that's CVEs or if that's potential issues they found in the code that aren't necessarily registered as CVEs. So anyway, I mean,
Paul, if you switch to open vulnerabilities, it's only 92,000. So
yeah, right. But yeah, no, I mean, it would be great to dig into this a little bit and see what we've got. But I think we should do it internally first. I think that's the main takeaway.
Yeah.
But happy to work with some folks if we want to do that. Yeah, this sounds like an interesting tool to evaluate.
Yeah, well, I should have that working group stuff set up fairly soon, and then early next year, perhaps we can set up. Maybe the next time we have security, you come and talk about this. We can have them join as well, and we can kind of dig into this with you all.
Sure.
On the vulnerabilities working group.
Yeah, we do see Sneak as one of the, that is one of the tools that when we get those reports from users, that is one of the tools they use. Not exclusively the only one, but it doesn't really matter if we have a sanctioned one that we use and we pay attention to, and we're keeping clean, then that would be a really great position to get to, actually.
Great.
Last time we spoke to you, we asked if your working group would be interested in drawing up an RFC for scanning across the estate and drawing up a standard. Is that something you've had any opportunity to get any further on?
Not really. That was why I went and gathered those statistics, but then I ended up not doing anything with those statistics, so that is still on my plate. There's that issue out there, isn't there, which is going to respond to. I think there's an issue which Eric perhaps raised. I think it was, but if not, I apologize to the author. But I was going to respond on there with my statistics and try and use that as the vehicle for driving that.
Yeah, I filed an issue, but it was largely based on some discussion we had, I think, back in May with some of the cloud.gov folks that attended one of the TOC meetings.
Is that still a good vehicle to try and use, do you think?
Yeah, just for the record, that's issue 373. I'll drop it in the chat here. I think that was more about general supply chain security. So potentially some of these scanning tools could fit into that, especially if they align with any of the SALSA levels that we might consider.
Mm-hmm.
I also know that David Sensian, I think is currently working his way up to the SALSA chain or something. I don't know. He might as well have an opinion.
Okay, who's that? No, I missed that name. Can you throw that?
David Sensian or something? I don't know.
Yeah, he's one of the security focused folks we have at VMware, working across a bunch of the Cloud Foundry and other Kubernetes things.
Okay. I'll perhaps reach out to him then if he's got some work ongoing at the moment. See if we can leverage that perhaps. Okay. Yeah. Sure. I will. Yeah. That. But the in answer to your original question, Andy, that's still on my plate. That one. I've got an action for that.
Any more? No? Okay. Thank you very much for your time, Paul. Let us move on. Well, is there anything you need off us, actually, before we move on?
No, I'm good. Thanks, Andy. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Right, on to PRs then. 483 first. That's just the work that Ruben and Chris have been doing. I thought I'd just flag it up in case we needed talk about it at all, or is it in hand?
Sorry, that's the one for working groups. I haven't pulled it up yet.
Yes, it is. Yeah, update LFX project control center to match community repo.
Yep, that's still a request. It has to go through like LF legal, so this has taken a long time, and I apologize for that. But yeah, it does have to go through like project formation through legal. It's a lot more. It seems like it should be something that's quite simple to do, but it has taken us quite a while. But I do have their attention, and they are hopefully going to get it done soon.
Okay. On to 481, then 481. This was just to take a look at this and decide if we want to merge this, if we're all happy using Spruce. I mean, seems fair enough to me that it is low risk ultimately. It's not,
Yeah,
it's neither here nor there what tool we use for that, I think.
yeah, it's maintained by Jeff Franks, who is currently an approver, I think, on runtime or something. X Stark and Wayne. But I mean, like, white queue, usually, like, we have a few of those scripts on the Bosch side also using white queue, and there's a bunch of different versions, and they are all slightly different, so that can lead to issues. So,
I mean, would that be an issue if it's just literally converting YAML that's within the JSON subset into JSON?
Yes, from experience, the command line interface is different for different versions of YQ. It's freaking annoying.
yeah, and it's not so it's not convert. So you would use YQ instead of JQ, right? So you don't convert to JSON first and then use JQ. You would use YQ instead, and that has different flags.
I'm personally happy with just use Spruce into JQ. I think it's kind of neither here nor there. We have something that works. It's an easy enough tool to get a hold of if you don't already have it.
Also, there aren't probably that many people that are gonna run this script.
Yeah,
it's just useful to
that's fair.
to have.
Yeah. So I vote we just go ahead and merge this. Any objections?
Also, last argument. The script works on my machine.
We get one more approval, I think.
But more importantly, what are we gonna do with this list? Is there a separate issue for that?
I think there is, yeah.
Okay.
It rings a bell, but I don't think it's on the list of things to look at today. If you want to add it to it, go ahead. I'll just merge this PR now.
Yeah, we shortly discussed this last time to have a virtual group, something about the admin repositories.
Yeah, some of these are administrative, so we probably want. So it'd probably be easiest to have like a virtual working group to represent those, and if there's any others that the TOC should own, then we could have something similar there. I checked on a couple of these that had more cryptic names, and they just seem like they're empty. I think maybe LDS and maybe Nikki. So some of these honestly could just delete if we take a look at them and find out that they're not used at all. Maybe some interesting story about why we created the repo and then didn't use it. I don't know.
Does anybody want to take that as an action to go through that list and put what they can into a working group, into like a TOC working group, and look at binning any that they can? I'd do it, but I don't think I'm close enough to know.
Chris, we'd had a similar spreadsheet from a previous round of these.
Yeah.
Would you have context on like which ones should be administrative, and then we can kind of crowdsource the rest?
I'll have context into a decent number of these. Not all of them, but certainly. So yeah, I can. I guess I can make an initial pass over these and just let you know which ones are, belong to the LF or CFF, and which ones I know are kind of, administrative. And that'll leave quite a few others, but yeah, I can do that by next week.
Great, thank you.
I've added that in as an action. 449 then, last one. This is branch protection rules. We opened up a final comment period last week that closes today. There's one change request. Eric, do you want to talk through that?
I think that was just an overhang from the previous edits I made. So I just reapproved now. Looks good.
Cool. That's majority. Final chance for objections before I push the button. No. Cool. Oh. Yes. Sorry. I've just realised I said I'd squash all the commits before I did that, and I haven't. I'll sort it out on main tomorrow and just push direct back to main if I can.
Was there really that big of a mess? I mean, it'd just be a sequence of them, right?
Yeah, it's just lots of little bits where I've just accepted changes through the UI, and it's all bitty. Just like a character here and a character there.
And I
I'll
think the RFC script needs to be applied to get the numbering correct.
Yes, it does. I'll do all. Yeah, I'll stick that on my list for tomorrow.
I mean, I think it's fine. We've got a merge commit now on main, so it's probably not worth doing anything to unwind a sequence of small commits.
Well, at least I'll go and add the numbering and stuff at least. Right. Okay. It's ticked. Right. Any other PRs people think we should look at that I didn't catch when I went through earlier?
Maybe a short update regarding the implementation of this RFC. I've been looking, so because of Thanksgiving, I didn't get a reply. I had some discussions with the pro people, and they suggested to use an option which is not quite what we want to have. And now looking into GitHub APIs and what they have in Pro for branch protection. Yeah, it looks like it's not supported, and I think I figured out what we need to change in Pro and which API to use in GitHub. So, yeah, I think next steps will be to open an issue for the tool, and then let's see if they don't want to do anything, maybe we can try to create a PR to get support for the feature we want.
It's the exclusion from the PR requirements so that bots can directly commit. That's something that is at the moment not possible.
Yeah. It looks like they do the request, the GitHub API, they have an implementation for that request, but they don't do anything for the bypass option. So it shouldn't be so hard to implement it, at least in the first look.
Yeah, that's at least positive. I suppose there was always a chance we were going to get stuck on this, but it sounds like it's a go for us. Do we have any thoughts what we'd do if the tool maintainers turned around and said, yeah, no, we're not interested in adding that? Would we just do it by hand ourselves after the tool had run or something?
To fork the tool or look for other tools. I at the moment, I don't know why they would object against such a feature. I mean, it fits in very nicely, but you never know until you have tried.
Yeah. For pre-study, we also had to make a change to do GitHub app auth instead of user auth or something. Like we wanted to use different authentication, and eventually they merged that.
Okay, that's a good
It's
sign.
a bit of back and forth.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Okay. Again, any other PRs, any other business people want to address?
I noticed this week that we received a request to enable Renovate bot.
So can we get any
right.
catch that?
Cloud Foundry org. I don't know what is your opinion on that. We have. It looks like we have Dependabot active, at least for some for the repositories in the foundational infrastructure group. They have similar features.
Do we need
I think
both?
it was Sylvester, right? We could ask
Yes.
him to simply yeah, make the case here in the TOC or whatever. I don't know if there are legal reasons to not install this renovate bot. I think he mentions that it has a few more features that Dependabot doesn't support, but I don't know which ones. For Kapi, I know that Dependabot works rather well, but if you have some more, I don't know, ecosystems that are not supported by Dependabots, then you are left alone.
Yeah, it looks like Renovate is more, the configuration you can do in Renovate is more flexible, maybe. But yeah, we can ask Sylvester to make a case why. Do you have any opinion on that, Chris?
I don't know. I mean, so I thought that we had just approved that bot for a few repositories anyway. But we can take a look at that.
Yeah, okay. Okay, I will ask Sylvester then in the TOC channel to maybe.
Yeah, I mean, well, I think Ram, did you when he had asked to install that, and I clicked on the various repositories. Ram, did you install that organizational wide?
No, I didn't go through with the install.
Okay, yeah, that's funny. I mean, because when I clicked on the install, it was only for select repositories. So I'm a little surprised that it's much of an issue. But
yeah, because it said that it requested it for like one autoscaler repository. I selected that, and then I went through, and then it took me to like a product website with like a bunch of different things.
Right.
So I wasn't sure exactly what to do there, which is what I
okay, yeah,
wrote back
I just went through and followed the prompt that GitHub sent me to install it on like the 3 autoscaler repositories.
Yep.
And that's it. So I'm surprised we're seeing it on others.
Yeah.
So should we do something here, or you are just going to enable it?
What was that?
Do you need to take an action here, or you just enable the approve the request?
I mean, I approved the request. I'm just not sure what we want to do here. Let me just take a look at that.
Just check that it's enabled for 3 autoscaler repositories.
Right.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
So if that's an issue, we can revisit it. Otherwise,
Okay, sounds good.
Any more last call for alcohol, y'all?
Andy, I just ran the RFC numbering script and pushed out the update commit. So I think that all looks good.
Brilliant.
But if you want to double check anything, that'd be great.
Yeah, we'll do that tomorrow.
So always
hopefully.
fun finding other unexpected failure cases with our numbering script tool. So but hopefully you have them all ironed out at this point.
Hopefully. Okay, yeah. So final call. No, cool. Let's all go to prepare to watch some football, shall we?
yeah.
Right.
Wow.
Have a good one, all. Sarah.
Just one thing, we're
And
getting some Corifi sweatshirts printed. There's a form in the Corifi devs channel if you're interested in getting one. Just indicate your size. At the moment, that's all the information we're looking for. And then once we have all of the information in, we'll be sending out discount codes and links to the CF store from where you can actually place the order. So just help us get an estimate of how many we actually need. Thanks.
Okay,
Cool.
thank you,
Thanks, Ram.
Ram.
See you.
Enjoy the game. Bye bye.